in the accountancy professions, CEOs of accounting firms. And I was hoping that they could join us, but sad to say, they declined. So because of this, I became more worried and I became more afraid. But I also developed a stronger resolve to get to the bottom of it. Why, parang iwas pusoy, or parang ayaw na magsalita, or in the beginning they were enthusiastic but eventually they did not. I won't mention any names right now, no? But parang ang hirap kumuha ng resource person. Kaya so I started reading about it. It's a page called Tutok Pinoy and another one called Best Global Asset. In the beginning, it wasn't accounting eh. It was about OFWs, about globalization, magaling ba ang Pinoy. So they put the names of Tony Tan Cactiong, Michael Cinco, all these guys that are international names, you know, Cebu Pacific, Lance Gokongwei, parang ganyan, na parang we're all over the world, you know, and we can compete, you know. So that's how it started. So it aroused my curiosity. When I was in the Senate, I chaired the Committee on Government Reorganization and Civil Service. And I remember at that time, I voted against the Retail Trade Liberalization Act. When you open the country to retail, to foreigners, this is going to put our own retailers into force them into a bind. And, you know, we have to be able to strengthen them, etc. So this was what was running in my head. So now, I heard on TV, Mr. Cusi saying just recently, a few days ago, then lalo pa akong nagulat. Parang yung constitution dapat palitan o kaya papasukin pa mas maraming mga foreign, mga tindahan, mga retailers, etc. Eh, pati yung professions nandyan na, di ba? Sasabihin mo reciprocity, pag yung local accountant at local architect, engineer pumunta sa ibang bansa, yung engineer nagiging draftsman eh. Accountant nagiging bookkeeper eh. So these are things that were fearsome for me, especially considering the economic situation or bind that we are here, you know. So if they're willing to speed this all up, I hope dahan-dahan muna tayo. Paghandaan natin. We had 20 years from the liberalization of 2000. Yeah, ngayon, yung bang mga yon, quote-unquote, affected persons or businesses, hindi naman talaga sila lumaki ng ganun eh. Di ba? Globalization, pag may tinambak sa atin, ano itatambak natin sa kanila in return? Wala tayong produkto eh. So that's where I'm coming from. Because to me, this is extremely, extremely dangerous. And people fanning the flames of liberalization, open up. Accounting is not just plain math. Accounting, you have to have a grasp of what you're doing. There's some kind of moral fiber that has to, you know, rear itself so that things can be straightened out. But behind these accountants, the people pulling the puppet strings, powerful people who do not want to give money to government. When accountants give a bad name to the profession, all the members or all the people in that profession are parang lumped into one big pie, right? Or one big bowl. So should there be much more scrutiny and much more resolve to get to the bottom of this, because they have to sanction their own members. So now, with the big four, well, actually it's not big four. There's big four, and then next six are very big, and then maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The foreign companies, foreign accountants firms that are in partnership with them. I don't know if partnership is the right word, because hindi dapat yan. It's not supposed to be legal, no? But affiliated with them. These are all firms with a lot of scandals abroad. Kung yung abroad nga na yun, nandun na yung mga skandalo ginagawa nila, you know, whatever the tactic, whatever the gimmick is, di ba? Because there are only one or two firms that have only one or two scandals. The rest, I think monthly they have a scandal coming out monthly and they pay the penalties.
Yeah.
And then wala na, di ba? There was in the international news about the Pandora's box. Why the big four are here is that this is also a way by which shareholders, stockholders are fooled. Sabihin ng accountant, walang pera, yung pala meron. Or may pera, yung pala wala. Diba? Like Enron and all these other companies. All of a sudden, the money just disappeared or, like a magic thing, like a magic trick. Business leaders, even potential foreign investors rely on what you submit to the government agencies. Yes. All of these things, people will now start to think, basta sa Pilipinas, everything can either be bought, doctored, changed, substituted. In the Philippines, everything and anything can happen. So when that becomes your reputation, where data that's released for public consumption is a figment of their imagination, it's just what they want to sound, And later on, when the liabilities come, everybody now has to pay the price. The big four, the minute there's gulo here, the minute there's takbuhan or there's bombahan or whatever, sibat na yan. They're not gonna hang around here and what? We're the ones that are gonna be left holding the bag. The only way that they can quiet the discussion is just deadma lang sila. Wala kaming pakialam. Magpatayan kayo, so what? Basta kami kumikita. They come into the stock market. When the price goes up, they sell. And who is left holding the bag? The Filipinos who bought those shares. They took their money out and ran already. That's why other countries do not allow foreign investors to remove their money immediately. They bring them in and after 6 months, bring them out, parang balik-balik ka lang. I mean to say, some countries are not even allowing this precisely because the ones left holding the bag are your own citizens. If you are going to be in agreement to be a partner or a dummy or whatever you want to call it of a big four, and this is how you're going to do it, so that means your attitude is to hell with your own kind. To hell with the Philippines. It's what the big four wants, the big four gets. We put a lot of weight, for example, on athletes, Olympians, etc. We give them rewards, awards, etc., after they've won. In this particular case, you can just imagine what the effects of what has been uncovered. Pharmaly is only one. PhilHealth is only one. That's two. But can you imagine the massive numbers of or volumes of records that accountants have access to? If there is this reward, you can clean up the government in less than 365 days, or the private sector for that matter, in 365 days. Because the accountants are very systematic people. Their minds are very systematic and very objective. As I said, if it's 1 peso, it is not 1 peso and 2 cents. It's 1 peso. So maliwanag yun hindi pwedeng doktorin yun So because of this and the system by which they are, or the disciplinary aspect of their education process, that entire education journey to be a CPA, it can be harnessed and relied upon very, very in a very exacting manner to uncover all of these things. So when people know that accountants can do this and will do it, because they can do it, but will they or will they not, right? And they will do it, that is also going to be a deterrent. It will be a deterrent because the initial step to even jail term or life sentence or whatever it is, the initial step is somebody has to blow the whistle. Accountants can also be creative, not to perpetrate or not to to steal or cheat or doing all these things. Creativity can be done in a positive way. As an accountant, you have access to information. You have access to statistics. How are you going to use that information? How are you going to use those statistics to improve the condition of your company, to improve your strategy? You might have a marketing strategy. You might have a personnel reshuffle or new hire or, whatever. You now have the equipment and you have now the data which is very important because all the inputs are there. So as an accountant, you have to have this kind of creativity so that it will improve the standing of your company in the industry, diba? And then that way, you can help the country as well because you can see, you can project 5 years, project 10 years. If this is what you will do, that is what the statistics will look like in 5 years' time, which means you can now afford social responsibility. You can have, a lot of other civic work or some other crusade that you want to embark on in terms of the products that you're selling or whatever. As an accountant, creativity does not always mean doctoring the statistics, doesn't mean always cheating and saving your company from paying taxes. That's not the creativity. What we want is for you to use your creativity, use the statistics that you have so that things are going to get better. There is a national organization of accountants. In fact, there are two. One of them is involves government accountants. The other one involves the private sector. And, it is the accountancy profession that can cure whatever disease there is in the profession. Because they must also feel, or they must realize, that there are a lot of well-meaning, there are a lot of respectable, and there are a lot of decent accountants in the profession. So it is the professional organization has to be the one to, in fact, influence even the curriculum, influence what kind of CPA board exam should be institutionalized. It may be revised yearly, it may be revised, but at a certain point, the principles of accountancy are rather all-encompassing. I don't think they change that every week or every year, right? So it is the profession that is in the best position to regulate itself. No matter what profession, medical, even librarians, even whatever, it is the profession itself. Because whatever practices or malpractices, the professionals are going to commit, that is a reflection of what kind of a board is really governing it. I think that righteousness, honesty, transparency, should not be a fad. Should not be there because maraming controversy, or should not be there dahil may formally, di ba? All of these things, I don't think that this should be a fad. This should be a way of life. And if you root it even further deeper, I think it should be a matter of, to some great extent, not living beyond our means. A lot of us are pushed to do things because we want a bigger house, more cars, more this, more that, and we can't afford it. We're never satisfied. We just want to have more and more and more. Kahit sinong sagasaan, kahit sinong magkaroon ng consequence, sinong mamatay sa ospital kasi walang gamot, so what? I want another Lamborghini or I want another Ferrari. Walang katapusan yan. There's always 10 more, 20 more Ferraris to want. Now that we're discussing it, it seems to me, from the professional point of view, down to the consumer point of view, down to the audience's point of view, it's parang the greedy versus the needy. Yung talagang greedy at yung needy ang nasasakripisyo. If we try to bridge that gap and try to narrow that gap or make the gap disappear, then it would be okay. You look at the Scandinavian countries, I think they're paying 40%, 50% of their tax or their income to taxes. If you're making $1 million, you pay $400,000, you still have $600,000. What's wrong with that? Why do you want to make $1 million and pay $10? There is a psychological problem there. It's not anymore an accountancy problem. This is a psycho situation. In countries where people freely do that, They're taken care of from womb to tomb. The price of being taken care of from womb to tomb for everybody is that you have to give up so much. Because if you come to analyze, 1 liter of blood for a jeepney driver costs the same as 1 liter of blood for a billionaire. I think if you want social stability, if you want progress in the country, etc., those who need a liter of blood must have access to it. And chances are, the way everybody can have that liter of blood is those who can pay more should pay more for that liter of blood. So the ones who cannot pay can also have that liter of blood.